Welcome back, everyone, to our last mini lecture in the social connection and relationships section of our course, where we're going to look at compassion, compassion for others and compassion for you. Compassion is defined in the dictionary as sympathetic consciousness of others' distress with a desire to alleviate it. So, this is an awareness of suffering, which is what we would call empathy. You feel, you notice, you resonate with another's suffering. And then what brings it to compassion is a desire to alleviate another's suffering. Now, we can't always do that. You might see something on the news where someone is harmed or where their home is destroyed and feel a deep sense of compassion without being able to travel there and fix it for them. And that's hard. However, compassion is still wildly beneficial, both for others and ourselves. The Dalai Lama says, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. And if you want to be happy, practice compassion. So we know there is some correlation between compassion and psychological well being. And when I'm in in-person classes, what I ask students is it typically easier for you to feel compassion for other folks or for yourself? And answers vary, but oftentimes people say, oh, I can feel compassionate for others. I can really care about others' well-being and I can feel for them. And when they're going through a hard time, I can want it to be better. But boy, in my own head, I'm usually pretty hard on myself. I often beat myself up. So we're going to look at that. What are the potential benefits of compassion for yourself and for other people? It can actually reduce your risk of heart disease. It can improve your cardiovascular health. It improves your response to stress, your resilience, your immune system. Compassionate societies have the highest rated levels of happiness. So again, the more societal compassion there is, the happier people are. And compassion can drive beautiful social movements and create change. So how can we cultivate compassion? Oftentimes, again, like I said, folks may be able to feel compassion for others, but have a harder time for themselves or vice versa. A couple things folks can do are a loving kindness meditation. So, loving kindness meditations, or sometimes referred to as compassion meditations, are guided meditations that you can follow that walk you through feelings, wishes of well being for others and yourself. So, it typically involves a phrase or statements. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. May you be at peace. And it'll walk you through thinking, intentionally cultivating these thoughts about others and yourself. So maybe a loved one, a neutral person, someone you dislike, and yourself. And what happens is that this actually rewires your brain. It changes your nervous system so that compassionate thoughts come more easily. So you can find loving kindness meditations again at Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center, linked here, or you can Google them, search them online or on YouTube, and they will actually increase natural feelings of compassion for others and for yourself. I've done this in the past for a period of time at a certain job. I had a very tricky boss who was not always the kindest. And I felt so frustrated with this person despite liking the job. And when I was doing compassion meditations at the time, I used this person as my person I did not like. And I found that over time, they couldn't really fill that slot anymore because I didn't really dislike them. It changed the way that I felt about them that much. Now, self compassion, turning feelings of compassion toward yourself. So, this awareness of suffering and a desire to alleviate it is a concept that's pioneered by Kristen Neff, who's a researcher at the University of Texas at Austin. And she identifies three components of self compassion, which you can see here: mindfulness, kindness towards yourself, and connectedness or social belonging. So, let's identify each one. Mindfulness and self compassion is just an awareness of suffering. So, recognizing when you're stressed or struggling without being judgmental or overreacting. So, this means that in order to feel compassion for someone or yourself, you have to notice that there is distress. So, an awareness of, oh, okay, I'm stressed right now. This heart beating, this blood pulsing feeling, this jittery feeling, this is stress, just like we identified in our last assignment or the assignment you're working on now. Or I'm sad right now. I'm lonely. I'm experiencing grief. And what so often happens for myself and others when we're experiencing these difficult emotions is we want them to go away, or we're angry at ourselves for feeling at them. We're critical. And that, unfortunately, does not actually lead to reduced feelings. There's a saying in psychology, what you resist persists. And oftentimes trying to resist these uncomfortable feelings actually makes them stick with us longer. We can't move through the process. Again, looking back to that slide on our feelings, vulnerability, and the physiology of our feelings, where we can feel them in our body, feelings, emotions are real physiological states. And so if we avoid them or ignore them, they persist. Social connectedness, I'll go to the last one, is this feeling of, oh, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone experiences difficult times. Everyone feels sad, lonely, anxious, stressed. I am not the only one in this. And this is not to suggest that my pain does not matter, that it's less than others, that other people have it worse. Certainly that is always true for someone somewhere, but it's also not to make our own pain grandiose or to isolate us, or it helps us not feel like we are the only person experiencing this ever. That sense of social isolation when it comes to pain creates shame. It's a deeply isolating experience. So remembering that other people feel it too. That's the reason that vulnerability, that sharing can be so useful. Oh yeah, I'm not alone here. Other people feel this too, can help soothe this, can help make this part of the collective human experience. And then the last important part is kindness, being kind, compassionate, supportive, and understanding towards ourselves when we're having a hard time, rather than being harshly self critical. And this is the key. Oftentimes, when folks are having a hard time, we engage in deep criticism. If we do poorly on a test, we beat ourselves up because some part of us thinks, if I criticize myself, I can criticize myself into being better. And a great deal of research shows that even though this feels true, it is not true. Criticism actually can increase feelings of shame, isolation, depression, and ultimately it can cause us to disengage with whatever it is we're focusing on, whatever it is we're trying to do or accomplish or improve, and to turn towards unhealthy coping strategies like substance use, like overeating food, like binge watching Netflix, etc. So actually recognizing the discomfort, distress, pain, etc., realizing we're not the only one who's experienced this or done this, and having some compassion for ourselves in the process can actually help us better move through it and improve our psychological well-being. So wrapping up our focus, our look at social connection, belonging, and meaning. Social connection is a necessary component of our optimal well-being. You can't just be a robot who exercises and eats well and gets enough sleep all on your own and expect to have a thriving psychological and physical well-being. Loneliness and social isolation are incredibly common. Again, 1 in 2 Americans report experiencing notable levels of loneliness, but just because they're common doesn't mean they're okay. They contribute to inflammation, higher mortality rates, and they deserve your awareness, attention, and intervention. Whether that means finding more social groups, whether that means joining a rec sports league or going to book clubs or engaging in therapy or talking to your classmates, volunteering, whatever that looks like, or if it looks like deepening your current relationships, being vulnerable, sharing what's hard, asking for help. These things, even though they feel hard, isolating, and like people are going to be like, ugh, what's wrong with you? These are the things that make you human. These are the things that make other people see you and that allow them to open up and be seen. These moments of connection and vulnerability feel good, and they increase connection and social support. They help you bond with people, and they help other people bond with and connect with you. So try it out on a small scale with someone you know and trust, and you can gradually build and grow from there. Oftentimes it feels weird and clunky at first, but once you start doing it, it starts to feel good. And lastly, compassion, an awareness of difficulty, of suffering, of pain, with a desire to alleviate it, is good for other people, it's good for society, and when turned inward, it's good for you. I hope you enjoyed this lecture on social connection and relationships and enjoy diving more deeply into the material listed in the Canvas shell this week. Bye-bye.